living my dreams. Ooh, I'm living my dreams. Oh yeah. Living.
Welcome back to our show today. I'm Adele Lacer, and I'm your co-host that is specialized in marketing and advertising. My co-host, Tanisha Polk, who's the content creator and production expert, is out on vacation. But together, we're AdX, Inspiring the Dream podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. She is a social media extraordinaire. She is an award-winning marketing executive with a passion for helping brands target, engage, build communities. As an expert in content curation and strategy development, she has worked with national brands, publishing companies, political and cultural organizations, among others. Following her college, she quickly rose through the ranks, um, working in-house at Burrell, then Starcom, and later at Combs Wine and Spirits as their media innovation director. As a marketing executive, she creates innovative strategies designed to reach diverse audience, notably women of color, Gen Z, and members of economic and cultural identity groups. Most recently, she joined a team at Mael, leading communications and content. Please give a warm welcome to Denitria Lewis, who's also a good friend of mine. Yay, Denitria, thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. This should be fun. So,
Yes, we're going to have some fun today. We'll jump right into some of the questions. So, Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, WhatsApp, WeChat, X, which is formerly known as Twitter, Snapchat, Reddit. Oh my, there are such a proliferation of media out there in the social media sphere. Where does one begin, Denitria? What would you tell our audience when they're looking to use social media and how they should approach which one they should use? Because
uh,
not all is one size fits all.
they are not one size fits all. They are not all created equal. And then there's so many like micro sites that have popped up, niche sites that are growing as well. But it can definitely be overwhelming. There are lots of platforms available. Uh, One of the primary things I do is I always advise brands to start by you need to understand your target audience. Knowing who you're trying to reach is going to be like a considerable driver towards what platforms you're using and what role they're going to play. Primarily because each platform has their own unique user base, their own strengths. So, obviously, for example, if you're targeting Gen Z, TikTok and Instagram are going to be your best bet. I'd actually lean super heavy on the TikTok space and I'd lean into Pinterest a little bit. If you're doing something that's more professional oriented, then LinkedIn is going to be key for that. LinkedIn is kind of turning into a bit of a Facebook when
I know it is.
how Facebook used to be from
Right.
a networking perspective. LinkedIn has kind of adopted some of those things into their user experience. Facebook is still a great place for like broad demographic reach, primarily because of all of the demographic targeting you can do in that space. I love Pinterest for like really effective visual inspiration and niche markets like that. And there are actually people nowadays are much more aware of like they want to be in more control of their algorithm. So sites like Pinterest can be helpful for that because you are essentially curating exactly what you want to see. So
Mm-hmm.
from a marketing perspective, I would tell a brand, start with one or two platforms where your audience is the most active and then expand as you grow more and more comfortable and, defining what the role is for that specific space.
Okay. That's good information. I want to go back to LinkedIn for a second because when you said that, it brought to mind I've seen some comments on LinkedIn where people are saying, hey, I'm trying to get a job here. I'm not trying to find out about how your life is personally or whatever the case is. So, what do you see future? Do you see anything future forward for LinkedIn in terms of continuing down this road?
So I actually love LinkedIn. I
Me
toggle
too.
back and forth between having a premium account and a regular account. I think individuals who are, let's take the individual who's, I'm just trying to get a job here. First of
Hmm.
all, LinkedIn has a section called LinkedIn Pro, and it's like their sales force of individuals who are looking for freelance roles. So you can be hired for contract work, or you can be hired for things that are more permanent. That's one aspect. Um, I know they've kind of gamified it a little bit, but if you are using a premium account, reach out directly to the people who are hiring for these roles. Like, recruiters do not make themselves unknown on LinkedIn. They in that inbox heavy. So
Yeah, they are.
if you're looking for a job here, it's the place to be, because the jobs are being promoted regularly. I'm still on the fence on whether or not these are real postings.
Right. Me too.
But for all intents and purposes, when you are on LinkedIn, there are multiple individuals on there recruiting. You have the benefit of seeing who you're connected to or one degree away from. Use one of those 14 in mails and put your wordsmithing together and get yourself a job, or at least get yourself an informational. I think I've had a lot of success on LinkedIn. The role I'm in now was because I reached out to somebody on LinkedIn, somebody I didn't know at all. I put a post up saying, "Hey, I heard about a role at this company. I reached out but didn't hear from anyone. Do I know anyone that knows someone personally?" They tagged that individual into my post. They said, "Hey, I'll flag this to whoever needs to be flagged." I never heard from that individual again until the day I started work.
Oh
But
wow.
I heard from HR.
You
I
did.
heard from a lead executive at the company. We met in person before I went on a vacation, and here I am. So,
So even if you're posting a job for to hire someone in your business, LinkedIn is still a great, you know, tool to use, I
yeah, I think
believe.
LinkedIn is still popping.
It's still popping and cracking. I don't think anything's going to change, at least for a while, at least in my thought for LinkedIn. Um, so there are a lot of positives with using social media, and you and I both have worked on McDonald's together, so we are very familiar with a lot of things that we did that was fantastic, and some things that went okay. But I think what we probably need to share with our audience is like, what are some of the pitfalls that you need to be aware of when you're using social media and trying to brand yourself or your business?
hmm Um, I'm gonna stay on the positive just briefly, but you get direct engagement with your audience. You get real time feedback. You get the ability to like really create a strong brand presence based on like the narrative that you want to proliferate. And also like build community for your brand, like in spaces where consumers already are. I think the primary pitfalls of social media is because of that immediacy, because of that real time feedback.
Hmm.
Um, Negative news could spread quickly. I think it's important to have a strategy in place for handling criticism, and some of that will like depend on your brand, and how deep you need to go. You know, whether you have a very distinct e-care department that handles those kind of things, or you are allowing maybe your community management on the social side to escalate those requests. With AI in place, that's also like something that can be very helpful if you are having a moment where your social media, let's just say you're having a post that's kind of like getting out of control. You can use AI to uh, gather data about the comments and see like how much of that is negative, what percentage of, like, you can get all of these little data points, like what percentage of that is negative, what seems like something you need to respond to. But you do need to have a strategy in place for how you handle criticism and maintain a positive brand image. I also
And that
think
strategy, oh, that just have to cut you off for a second. That strategy should be done before you start advertising or
Yeah,
putting it.
it's
Let's make that clear.
very clear. Yeah, you. This is not a scenario where you want to build the plane as you're flying it. You want to be thoughtful enough of a marketing strategist and a creative strategist to be able to say, okay, we are launching this new campaign. Here are the things that we know about our brand that could be potential pitfalls, whether that's some organizational or business um, decisions that have been made in the past or just general ways of working that people have taken issue with for your brand in the past. You need to be able to uh, not necessarily predict, but you need to be able to project
Hmm.
forward a bit on if your campaign will stoke any of those fires. And how would you respond to that? Is the response to have a pre-planned statement for the things that you are doing to um, waylay some of this, or is the response, oh, we have to shut this down? Like, you have to be prepared for how people want to engage with you or end up engaging with you.
That's very critical. And it's interesting because when I think back at all of the brands that I've worked on over the years, and you too for that matter, there have been times like, with TV or radio or something like that, one of the traditional vehicles, you literally had time to pull an ad and get it off air if something just went awry with it. But the social media, it's like the response time has to be so quick. And I can remember, instances where our clients necessarily didn't get out that ahead of it as fast as they could have. And then it, festered. And I remember one thing in particular with one of the brands, it's like when, sometimes when people might make a fun or poke fun at your brand, sometimes, not getting angry about that poking might be the best response to like poke fun back and say, like, oh, yeah, we did do that. Our bad, and go on. And then they have nowhere to go.
Yeah, I do think brands need to be able to laugh at themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
they need to also be able to like embrace the fact that content creators are marketers now.
Yep.
Whether they're doing it on intentionally or they're just doing it by virtue of they have access to certain tools and they're just doing it. I'll give an example that is still pretty fresh, but there was a young lady on TikTok who worked at Chick-fil-A and was basically sharing her employee lunch every day. And people would ask her about different hacks that they had heard online or wherever. And so, since she worked there, she would try some of the menu hacks that they were suggesting. And she would also try new products and promote them. Well, Chick fil A, uh, it's against company policy for employees to do social media who are not working on behalf of the social.
Mm-hmm.
So of course they asked her to stop doing it. She didn't have to take her videos down, but she had to stop doing the videos. She didn't get fired or anything. It was fine. But that was an opportunity to lean in. This girl had millions of views. You were getting
Exactly.
of positive press about current items. That was an opportunity to work with her. Well, what ended up happening? She's no longer posting videos for Chick fil A. And then over time, she now does not work at Chick fil A anymore. But every single other brand that had chicken available on their menu, they reached out to her and are probably doing 6-figure deals, 5 or 6-figure deals for this young lady to promote their menu items because Chick fil A slept on it.
Leaving money on the table. That was just money they left on the table. And, that's the thing to your point about being able to poke fun at yourself at times or at least be easy about, what some of the requirements are in your brand, especially if you have an asset like that. I think, they could have probably blown up some of their, if they had a special item, limited time offer. any of those items. I'd like to know if they really blew up while she was talking about them.
I do believe some of them did.
All right. So many people think, and you're going to love this question. Many people think because they are on social media that they know they're an expert, they know how to use it. But they don't realize there's really a lot of strategy. You talked about that a little earlier that goes beyond behind what you're trying to do. And to be able to be effective in marketing a product correctly on social media. So, could you tell us some best practices?
Definitely. First of all, I think the biggest misconception people have about social media is that it's free. The platform is free. The platform is.
Everything costs.
I, as an individual strategist, I am not free. So there is a significant difference between casual use of social media and strategic marketing. You have to have clear goals. Are you looking to increase brand awareness? Do you need to drive traffic to your website? Are you trying to boost sales? Are you trying to build community? Like, what is it that you need? What is the job that you need social media to perform for you? And also, is this the platform to do that job? I find a lot of the time, and this can be with like even experienced marketers, I find a
Sure.
lot of the times that individuals may want social media to fulfill a marketing lever that it cannot fulfill. For instance, sales. Sometimes people want social media to show a lift in sales. If you have a specific campaign going on and you want to track back the communication about that sale with your social media, okay, sure, you can do that. But without like trackable links and pixels and like knowing like exactly like digitally or with something that is a little bit more concrete, you can't really truly say that like social media boosted your sale unless you can like make that one-to-one connection. Um,
True.
but I'm sure
That's
we'll
very true.
move in more deeper into that later on. I think another thing to do as far as best practices are concerned is, create your content calendar. You want to ensure consistency and like really plan your post around, key dates and events. You want to be able to respond to things culturally if it's relevant for your brand or your audience. You want to do that in an authentic way. Um, we can't be out here having was it IHOP that was doing rap songs about pancakes? Like, do it in a way that makes sense for your
Right.
brand and your
Right.
audience. Um, and then engage with the audience as well. Engage by responding to comments and messages. I like to say that social media is like your little digital house on the internet. And if you are going to be a good host, when people speak to you, you speak back.
Mm-hmm.
And another way to build community on social media is making sure that you are communicating off page as well. It's not just important to only be on your own page. People who use TikTok are learning that playing in the not playing, but like commenting on other people's posts and being in the comment section, being in the feeds, being in those spaces where the consumer is actually engaging deeply. You want to be there. You want to be seen as a brand. You want to do it in an authentic way. And I think the last piece is probably one
Exactly.
of the most important: using your analytics properly, understanding that there's a human being behind every data point. So you want to track performance. You want to adjust your strategy if you need to. Um, and then just staying authentic. What is true to your brand's voice? Authenticity is going to resonate with your audience. It's going to build trust. Um, just knowing those key things, that is really going to go a long way for you. So start off with your goals. Make a calendar that connects with those goals, connects culturally, engage with your audience. Use that analytics to refine and optimize along the way. And again, stay authentic and stay true.
And that's the big key, authentic and true. And just being relevant in the space. You gave a good example uh, with IHOP. because you have to make sure that whatever you're putting out there makes sense, not just doing it for the sake of doing it. So that's a good key. So that brings us to our special time in our podcast where we have this segment, Seeds to Success. And today's seed is creating culturally relevant social media ideas can lead to great performance that drives results. And you teed it up a little bit. So can you share a little bit more about what helps drive results on social media?
First and foremost, being authentic and true. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Being culturally relevant, um, having a feed that like really showcases your products in like a visually appealing way. Um, and that doesn't necessarily mean every shot needs to be super uber produced. I joke around with my friends about catfish content versus caviar content. So catfish content to me is if you have a library of images and shots that work well for you, when there's a cultural moment or a trending sound or something happening in the universe that you can take advantage of, and you can use some of that library of content and make something shake, that is catfish content, because you didn't have to go out of your way to create something that was visually appealing and worked for your audience. You already know that it works. You just want to know, does it work in the context of this new moment that is happening right now? Caviar content, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit more expensive. You are producing with a specific end goal in mind, and you're likely going to have some type of campaign attached to that. And hopefully it's leaning into what is culturally relevant for your audience that you're using. I think another space that probably doesn't get talked about as much is there is a way to leverage social media to drive sales. And a part of that is through you've got Instagram shopping,
Right.
Facebook Marketplace. They've got buyable pins on Pinterest. You have TikTok Shop. These are all places that can streamline the buying and the purchase process. So if you are putting up content that really resonates well, and you can link them back to your digital hub or your store, that is a good space to be able to do things of that nature. Use your social proof. Do you have customer testimonials? Do you have UGC? Brand I work for now, we have lots of influencers working with us. We have lots of UGC. People really love the brand, and we are like constantly able to repurpose and use that content from both influencers and just regular users of the brand. And that goes a long way to boosting credibility. It's good for driving conversions. But from a copy perspective and like how you distribute that, make sure you're including a strong call to action. And again, keep tracking these campaigns to see what works best. Maybe certain individuals perform better, so you want to use their content more. You want to use them in new and unique ways and things of that nature.
Okay. One of the things that I also want to add to that, what you're saying is the other thing that you have to keep in mind, and Denitria, you mentioned this at the top, is that each platform has a universe. Like Facebook is very big, and other platforms may have much smaller universes. So when you're looking at driving performance, you have to think about the fact that there's a funnel. So think of a cone, and we talk about the marketing funnel all the time in our business. And so at the top is awareness, in the middle is consideration, and at the bottom is, your where you're actually getting people to convert to a sale. And that's the basics of that funnel. So think about that. You may need some broader media at the top to help drive that conversion down. So I like to, when I look at
Yeah,
planning,
call it what it is. You may need some money at the
right?
you
That
need
is right.
at the top of that funnel to get that awareness.
You're right, because and we see it with even our clients at times. They will look at, oh, I want all performance media strictly. And I'm like, that's fine, but you keep retargeting the same people over and over again. You're not gaining any new ones. That's why the top of the funnel is just as important as that conversion part where you're trying to get that sale. And it's the awareness bucket of generating awareness, because then you can push more people down the funnel to hopefully convert them to a sale. And as the teacher put aptly, yes, that does cost money, and you will need a budget for that. Um, so, any last thoughts, Denitria, in terms of what you would like to share about the social media?
Yeah, and they're not. I don't think they're super long. I would say
No, take your time.
social media is an ever evolving landscape. Like the things I knew to be true about social media 10 years ago are like some of the platforms don't even exist anymore. So
True.
you need to stay perpetually curious, keep learning. Don't be afraid to experiment with new strategies, new platforms. Even if you're not bringing a brand to a specific platform, get on for yourself and learn to use it, learn the UX. Um, Maybe there will be some creative ways for brands to engage on that platform in the future. Um, but staying curious is definitely curious and experimental. I think is key. Very important. Keep your audience at the heart of everything you do. I think very early on in my career, I was told, and I'm gonna mess up the phrase, but the spirit is still there. But be careful not to self-identify. You are not the target, even when you
Yeah.
are the target. So make sure you are using your consumer data to really inform. I'm fortunate enough to be in a space where through social listening, I can go and see exactly what people are saying in real time anytime I want to. But you want to make sure that you're really keeping those individuals at the heart of the work that you do in this space.
That's all good, valid points to keep in mind. I would probably just add that at the end of the day, when you're sitting down planning, social media could be one aspect of what you're doing. And like Denitria said at the top end, you have to have a strategy for any crises that may arise. You need to put together what your marketing strategy overall will be and how that fits into your advertising strategy, which includes social media or other media that might be out there, such as TV or radio, whatever the case may be. So, and when I say radio, it's audio, because we know radio is digitized as well. So I think that's the other thing, because I do believe in a 360 approach. Every vehicle has its purpose, and as long as you can, be a good student, like Denitria was saying, I think that you'll be well ahead of the curve in trying to ensure that you have success with your advertising. Um, so, Denitra, this kind of brings us to the end. It's been fun talking to you. Can you share with us how people could get in touch with you? Our audience could get in touch with you.
Yes. So individuals can find me online pretty much at DNyree everywhere. So that's at DNYREE. Um, Full name is Denitria Lewis. I'm very, with me being on social media, I'm very Googleable. If anyone would like to email me and talk about some of the things we talked about today, or maybe book some type of professional audit, they can email me at dnyree@dnyree.com. I'm very accessible within
And
reason.
she's very good, everybody. Let me just let you know, she is very good at what she does.
So it's fun. Like when working in social media, I tell people all the time to Google me, and it's so funny because that phrase at one point was like arrogant, but like no, for real, Google us. Like we're all of our data is out there. So
Literally, literally.
Google me, you're gonna find me at DNyree on Instagram, X, TikTok, wherever you seek, you shall find me on these social media platforms. But like I said, if anyone wants to email me directly, dnyree@dnyree.com is going to get me. And you won't get a bot.
Well, thanks so much, Denitria, for your time today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on and speaking with our audience. It's been great having you. We'll probably have you back at some other point to talk a little bit more about something else. But
Yeah.
again, everybody, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. And don't forget to come back and check out AdX Inspiring the Dream podcast. See you next week. Bye.
I'm living my dreams. Ooh, I'm living my dreams.